The Galactic Council chamber had always been a place of order, of carefully maintained balance between the great powers of the galaxy. For millions of years, the Council had governed the affairs of countless species, establishing laws and protocols that ensured peace and stability. But on this day, the chamber was anything but orderly. It was a place of chaos, of panic, of desperate confusion. The representatives from over 60 species sat in their designated positions, their various forms displaying a range of emotions from fear to anger to disbelief. The holographic displays at the center of the chamber showed the devastating news that had just arrived. The humans had rejected all negotiations. They had withdrawn from every diplomatic channel. They had closed their borders and gone silent. No communications, no warnings, no explanations. Just silence. The High Counselor, a being from the ancient Vexari species, sat at the head of the table, its translucent skin pulsing with a frantic rhythm of colors that indicated extreme distress. Its many eyes were fixed on the holographic display, as if hoping that the information would somehow change. "Has there been any response to our hails?" the High Counselor asked, its voice barely above a whisper. The communications officer, a being from the Zorkath species, shook its reptilian head slowly. "Nothing, High Counselor. We have sent hundreds of messages across every frequency. We have tried every diplomatic channel we know. The humans are not responding to anything. It's as if they have simply vanished." The Thraxi representative's mandibles clicked with nervous agitation. "This is impossible. A species cannot simply vanish. They must be somewhere. They must be doing something. We need to find out what they are planning." The Valari representative, whose fluid form had been shifting through various shapes in a display of deep concern, spoke up. "I have been studying the humans for centuries. I have watched them grow, change, and evolve. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that this silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of something far more dangerous." "What do you mean?" the High Counselor asked, its skin now pulsing with a deep, worried purple. "I mean that the humans have rejected all negotiations," the Valari said. "They have given up on talking to us. And when humans give up on talking, they start doing. They have decided that words are no longer useful, so they are preparing to take action instead. The question is, what kind of action?" The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives from various species began speaking over each other, their voices rising in panic and confusion. The Cthar representative's crystalline form pulsed with distress. The Thraxi representative's mandibles clicked with a feverish rhythm. The Zorkath representative's reptilian eyes darted around the room as if looking for an escape. The High Counselor slammed a translucent hand on the table, its skin flashing with a bright red that silenced the room. "Enough. Panicking will not help us. We need to think clearly. We need to understand what the humans are doing and why." The Valari representative's form shifted into something that roughly approximated a human figure. "I have been analyzing the data from human space. Their colonies have gone silent. Their trade routes have been abandoned. Their military installations have become impossible to track. They have been preparing for something, and they have been doing it in secret for a long time." "Preparing for what?" the Thraxi representative demanded, its mandibles clicking with barely contained fear. "I don't know," the Valari admitted. "But I do know that the humans are not a species that takes threats lightly. They have been pushed around by the Council for too long. They have been dismissed, mocked, and ignored. And now they have decided that they are done with all of it." The High Counselor's skin had gone pale, almost white. "What do you mean, dismissed and mocked? We have treated the humans fairly. We have given them the same opportunities as every other species." The Valari's form shifted to something that suggested disbelief. "Is that what you think? The humans have been trying to negotiate with us for decades. They have been trying to establish diplomatic relations, to form alliances, to be treated as equals. And what have we given them? We have laughed at them. We have dismissed their achievements. We have treated them like children playing at being adults. And now they have had enough." The room fell silent again, the weight of the Valari's words pressing down on everyone. The High Counselor's skin flickered with a range of colors, each one indicating a different emotion: fear, guilt, anger, and regret. "We need to find them," the High Counselor finally said. "We need to open a dialogue. We need to apologize if necessary. We cannot let this continue." "Apologize?" the Thraxi representative scoffed. "We are the Galactic Council. We do not apologize to primitive species. We do not. Then we will face the consequences. The Valari interrupted, its form taking on a sharp, angular shape. The humans are not primitive. They have proven that again and again. They have surpassed us in ways we cannot even imagine. And if we do not treat them with respect, they will find a way to make us regret it. The High Counselor made a decision. Send a delegation to the human homeworld. Do not enter their space without permission. But send a message of goodwill. Tell them that we want to talk. Tell them that we want to understand. The message was sent, but there was no response. The humans remained silent, their space a void of mystery and growing dread. The council waited, their fear growing with each passing day. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. The humans remained silent, their space a dark and foreboding void that seemed to pulse with hidden dangers. The council had sent dozens of messages, each one more desperate than the last, but none of them had received a response. The humans had completely cut off all communication, and the council was left to wonder what they were doing. And then, the first sign of human action came without warning. A council outpost on the edge of human space went dark. The outpost was a small research station, manned by a crew of 50 from various species. It had been monitoring the human border, watching for any sign of activity. And then, suddenly, it was gone. No distress signal, no warning, nothing. Just silence. The council was in a state of shock. They had expected the humans to do something, but they had not expected this. The outpost had been destroyed with surgical precision, its crew killed without mercy. There had been no communication, no demands, no explanations. The humans had simply struck. We need to respond, the Thraxi representative demanded, its mandibles clicking with barely contained fury. We cannot let them get away with this. We need to show them that we will not be intimidated. How? The Valari representative asked, its form shifting with concern. We don't know what they are capable of. We don't know what weapons they have. Attacking them blindly would be suicide. We need to defend ourselves, the High Counselor said, its skin pulsing with a desperate energy. We need to mobilize our fleets. We need to prepare for the worst. The council began to mobilize, their fleets assembling in defensive positions. But the humans were always one step ahead. They struck again and again, hitting outposts and supply lines with devastating precision. Each attack was a surgical strike, designed to maximize damage and minimize risk. The humans were not just fighting a war, they were demonstrating their superiority. The council was in chaos. The representatives were terrified, their arrogance shattered by the human onslaught. They had always believed that they were the most powerful species in the galaxy, that no one could challenge their authority. The humans had proven them wrong. We need to surrender, the Cthar representative suggested, its crystalline form pulsing with desperation. We need to offer them whatever they want. We cannot continue this fight. Surrender to a primitive species? The Thraxi representative scoffed. We would be the laughingstock of the galaxy. We are already the laughingstock, the Valari pointed out. The humans have made fools of us. They have shown us that we are not as powerful as we thought. And now we have a choice, surrender and survive, or fight and be destroyed. The debate continued for hours, but no decision was reached. The council was divided, each species arguing for its own survival. And while they argued, the humans continued their attacks. A second outpost was destroyed, then a third, then a military base. The attacks were relentless, each one more devastating than the last. The humans were showing no mercy, no restraint. They were demonstrating their power in the most brutal way possible. And then, the humans made their position clear. A transmission was received, the first communication from the humans in months. It was brief, cold, and to the point. You have rejected our attempts at negotiation. You have dismissed our concerns. You have treated us like children. Now you will face the consequences. Surrender all claims to human territory. Acknowledge our sovereignty, or face total destruction. The council was stunned. The humans were demanding nothing less than complete capitulation. They were not asking for a seat at the table. They were demanding to be the only ones at the table. This is unacceptable, the Thraxi representative declared. We cannot surrender to them. We would be giving up everything we have worked for. Then we will be destroyed, the Valari said simply. The humans have proven that they are capable of defeating us. They have proven that we are helpless against them. There is no alternative. The council was in a state of panic. They had been pushed to the brink, and they had no idea what to do. The humans had rejected all negotiations, and now the council was facing the consequences. The panic that had been building in the council reached a fever pitch as the human attacks continued. Each new strike was more devastating than the last, targeting key infrastructure and military installations with surgical precision. The humans were not just defeating the council, they were dismantling it piece by piece. The Valari representative had been working tirelessly to understand the human strategy, analyzing their tactics, and trying to find a pattern. The findings were chilling. The humans are not trying to conquer us, the Valari reported during an emergency council session. They are trying to humiliate us. They are showing us that we are helpless against them. They are proving that all our power, all our technology, all our military might, is nothing compared to what they can do. The High Counselor's skin was now a constant state of pale white, indicating extreme stress. What can we do? We don't know what they are planning. We don't know where they are. We don't know anything. We need to send a reconnaissance mission, the Kthar representative suggested. We need to find out what is happening in human space. We cannot just sit here and wait for them to act. The decision was made. A small, stealthy vessel would be sent into human space to gather intelligence. The mission was dangerous, almost certainly suicidal, but the council had no other choice. They needed to know what the humans were doing. The vessel was launched, its crew of elite operatives from various species prepared for the worst. They slipped through the edge of human space, their sensors scanning for any sign of activity. At first, there was nothing. The human colonies were dark, their cities abandoned. The space around them was empty, devoid of the traffic that had once been so common. But then they found it. A massive structure, hidden in the shadow of a gas giant. It was a ship, unlike anything they had ever seen. It was massive, its hull covered in advanced technology that seemed to shimmer with an energy that defied explanation. The ship was clearly designed for combat, bristling with weapons that the crew could not identify. "This is impossible," the mission commander whispered, his reptilian eyes wide with shock. How could the humans have built something like this? They don't have the resources. They don't have the technology. This should not be possible. The crew continued their reconnaissance, gathering as much data as they could. They found more ships, each one more advanced than the last. They found military installations hidden in asteroids, their weapons trained on the void. They found evidence of a massive mobilization, a preparation for something that the humans were not ready to reveal. And then they were detected. A human ship appeared out of nowhere, its technology so advanced that it had been completely invisible to their sensors. The ship did not attack. It simply sent a message. "You have entered human space without permission. Leave now. This is your only warning." The reconnaissance vessel fled, its crew shaking with fear. They had seen enough to know that the humans were preparing for something terrible. They returned to the council with their findings, and the news spread like wildfire through the galactic community. The council was in a state of panic. The humans had clearly been preparing for war, and they had been doing it in secret for a long time. The council had underestimated them, dismissed them, and now they were facing the consequences. But the council was not completely helpless. They had their own resources, their own technologies, their own military forces. They began to mobilize, assembling a massive fleet that would challenge the humans and show them that the council would not be defeated. "We need to show them that we are not afraid," the Thraxi representative declared. "We need to attack them, to hit them where it hurts. We need to make them understand that we will not be pushed around." "And what happens when we lose?" the Valari asked. "The humans have already proven that they are more powerful than us. Attacking them would be suicide." "Then what do you suggest?" the Thraxi demanded. "Do you suggest we just surrender?" "I suggest we negotiate," the Valari said. "I suggest we find a way to make peace. The humans have rejected all negotiations so far, but perhaps we can find a way to reach them. Perhaps we can offer them something they want." The debate continued, but no resolution was reached. The council was divided, and the humans continued their attacks. The galaxy was descending into chaos, and no one knew how it would end. The war had entered a new phase, a grinding conflict that wore down both sides. The humans had proven that they were capable of defeating the council, but they had not yet achieved a decisive victory. The council had proven that they were capable of defending themselves, but they had not yet found a way to stop the humans. Ambassador Sarah Chun, the human representative who had been at the center of the conflict, stood in the command center of the human fleet, watching the holographic display that showed the ongoing battles. She had been the one who had made the decision to reject all negotiations, to take a stand against the Council's arrogance and disrespect. And now, she was leading humanity through the war that had followed. "We have them on the run," Admiral Marcus Webb said, his face showing a grim satisfaction. "The Council is in chaos. They don't know what to do. They're terrified." "Good," Sarah said, her voice cold. "They should be. They treated us like children, dismissed us, mocked us. And now they are paying the price." "But what happens next?" Webb asked. "We can't keep fighting forever. We need to find a way to end this war." "We will," Sarah said. "But it will be on our terms. We will not negotiate with them. We will not compromise with them. We will make them come to us, and we will dictate the terms." The war continued, but the humans were not just fighting a military battle. They were fighting a psychological battle, a battle for the hearts and minds of the galaxy. They were showing the other species that the Council was not invincible, that the old order could be challenged, that there was an alternative. Slowly, other species began to join the humans. They had seen the Council's arrogance, their dismissal of the humans, their refusal to treat them as equals. And they had seen the humans' strength, their determination, their willingness to fight for what they believed in. "We are receiving messages from several species," the communications officer reported. "They want to join us. They want to be part of what we are building." Sarah smiled, a cold smile that did not reach her eyes. "Good. Welcome them. We need all the allies we can get." The coalition grew, and the Council's position became more precarious. They were losing allies, losing resources, losing the will to fight. The chaos that had begun with the humans' rejection of negotiations was spreading, consuming everything in its path. "We need to find a way to end this," the High Counselor said, its skin pulsing with a desperate energy. "We cannot continue like this. We are being destroyed. We have no choice," the Thraxi representative said, its mandibles clicking with frustration. "The humans will not negotiate. They have made that clear. They want to destroy us." "Then we need to find another way," the High Counselor said. "We need to find a way to reach them, to make them understand that we are not their enemies." "Perhaps we should try apologizing again," the Valari suggested. "Perhaps we should acknowledge that we were wrong, that we treated them unfairly." "We have already apologized," the Thraxi representative scoffed. They did not accept it. "Then we need to do more," the Valari said. "We need to show them that we have changed. We need to show them that we are willing to treat them as equals." The Council was desperate, and they were willing to try anything. They sent a new message to the humans, a message that acknowledged their mistakes, their arrogance, their disrespect. They offered to accept any terms that the humans demanded, to surrender their authority, to accept the new order. The response came quickly. The human attack ceased, and a new transmission was received. "We have heard your message. We accept your apology, but we will not forget what you did. The galaxy has changed, and you have to change with it. The old order is over. The new order has begun. Adapt or be destroyed." The Council was in shock. They had survived, but they had been humiliated. The humans had not just won the war, they had won the peace. They had forced the Council to acknowledge their superiority, to admit their mistakes, and to accept a new world order. The chaos that had begun with the humans' rejection of negotiations was finally coming to an end. But the galaxy would never be the same. The aftermath of the war was a time of reckoning for the Council. They had been humiliated, defeated, and forced to accept a new order that they had never wanted. The humans had proven that they were the dominant power in the galaxy, and the Council had been forced to accept their supremacy. But the humans were not interested in ruling the galaxy with an iron fist. They simply wanted to be respected, to be treated as equals, and to be left alone to pursue their own destiny. The new order that they established was based on cooperation and mutual respect, not domination and control. Ambassador Sarah Chun stood in the reformed council chamber, looking at the representatives from across the galaxy. The chamber had changed, the holographic ceiling now showing a new history of cooperation and peace. The representatives from the various species sat at the table, their forms showing a range of emotions from relief to resentment. "We have come a long way," Sarah said, addressing the assembly. "We have faced our darkest fears, overcome our greatest challenges, and emerged stronger than ever before. The galaxy is at peace, and it is a peace that we have earned through struggle and sacrifice." The representatives nodded, their various forms expressing approval and gratitude. The Valari representative's form shifted to something that suggested deep appreciation. "The humans have shown us that peace is possible," the Valari said. "They have shown us that cooperation is better than conflict, that partnership is better than domination. We are grateful for their leadership and their wisdom." Sarah smiled, a genuine smile that reflected the peace she felt. "We have learned many lessons. We have learned that war is never the answer. We have learned that destruction leads only to more destruction. And we have learned that the only way to build a better future is through cooperation and mutual respect." The assembly applauded, their various forms expressing approval and gratitude. The war was over, and a new era had begun. The humans had proven that they were not just a species of destruction, but a species of hope. But the peace was fragile. There were still those who resented the humans' dominance, who saw them as tyrants who had replaced the old powers. These species formed a resistance, seeking to challenge the humans and restore the balance of power. Sarah watched the resistance grow with concern. She had hoped that the war would bring peace, not create new enemies. But the galaxy was a complex place, and there were always those who sought power and influence. "We need to deal with the resistance," Admiral Webb said, his voice filled with concern. "They are becoming a real threat. If they join forces, they could challenge our dominance." Sarah shook her head. "We can't just attack them. That would prove them right. We need to find a way to bring them into the fold, to show them that we are not their enemy." "How?" Webb asked. "They hate us. They see us as oppressors." "Then we need to prove them wrong," Sarah said. "We need to show them that we are not like the old council. We need to offer them partnership, not domination." The diplomatic efforts were slow and difficult. The resistance members were suspicious of the humans, unwilling to trust them after what they had seen. But Sarah was patient, and she worked tirelessly to build bridges. She traveled to the homeworlds of the resistance members, listening to their concerns and offering them a seat at the table. She showed them that the humans were not interested in controlling the galaxy, only in protecting themselves and their allies. Slowly, the resistance began to break apart. Some of the members realized that the humans were not their enemy, that they had more to gain from cooperation than conflict. Others held out, their anger and resentment too strong to overcome. But Sarah refused to give up, and she continued to reach out. And finally, the resistance began to accept the new order. They saw that the humans were not tyrants, that they were willing to share power, that they were committed to building a better future. The galaxy began to heal, and the scars of the war began to fade. The new order had been established, and the galaxy was at peace. The humans had proven that they could be trusted with power, that they could build a better future, that they could create a world where all species could thrive. The chaos that had begun with their rejection of negotiations was finally over. Ambassador Sarah Chun stood in the council chamber, looking at the representatives from across the galaxy. They had come together to celebrate the new order, to honor the sacrifices that had been made, and to look forward to a brighter future. "We have been through a great deal," Sarah said, addressing the assembly. "We have faced our darkest fears. We have overcome our deepest betrayals. And we have emerged stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before." The representatives nodded, their various forms expressing approval and gratitude. The Valari representative's form shifted to something that suggested deep appreciation. "The humans have shown us that chaos can lead to order," the Valari said. "They have shown us that destruction can lead to creation. They have shown us that even the darkest moments can lead to a brighter future." Sarah smiled, a genuine smile that reflected the peace she felt. "We have learned that lesson as well. We have learned that rejection is not always the end. Sometimes, it is the beginning of something new, something better, something that we could never have imagined." The Thraxi representative, once humanity's fiercest critic, spoke up. "We were wrong about the humans. We thought they were a threat, but they have proven to be our greatest allies. We are grateful for their leadership and their wisdom." The assembly applauded, their various forms expressing approval and gratitude. The war was over, and a new era had begun. The humans had proven that they were not just a species of destruction, but a species of hope. Sarah walked out of the council chamber, her heart filled with a sense of peace. She had been through so much, had lost so much, But she had also gained so much. She had gained a new purpose, a new family, a new hope. As she looked out at the stars, she remembered the decision that had started it all, the decision to reject all negotiations. At the time, it had seemed like the only option, the only way to stand up to the council's arrogance and disrespect. But now, she realized that it had been something more. It had been a statement of strength, a statement of determination, a statement of hope. The galaxy had descended into chaos, but that chaos had led to something beautiful. The humans had shown that even the darkest moments could lead to a brighter future. They had shown that rejection was not the end, but the beginning. The galaxy would never forget what the humans had done, and the humans would never forget the cost of their victory. They had faced their darkest fears, had overcome their greatest challenges, and had emerged stronger than ever. And in the end, that was what truly mattered. Not the chaos, not the destruction, but the hope. The hope that the future could be better, that the galaxy could be a place of peace and cooperation, that all species could thrive together. Sarah smiled, and she looked forward to the future. The future was bright, and it belonged to everyone.